Welcome to Ray Reads, a podcast where I discuss the books I am currently reading. For this episode of Ray Reads, I will be discussing Camp by R.C. Rosen. Now, here is another book brimming with diversity. We have Ashley as a demisexual lesbian and Charity as an aromantic and asexual person representing the ace community, which is phenomenal to me. The ace community is severely underrepresented, so it warms my heart to see demisexual and asexual characters on the page. The same goes to non-binary inclusion. I love Jordan, and I appreciate their pronouns, as it always makes me feel good when gender-neutral pronouns are accepted. And then, the diversity in this novel goes beyond genders and sexualities. George offers Middle Eastern representation. Hudson is Asian, specifically of Korean ancestry. And Counselor Connie is a black woman, a famous transgender Olympian. My sole complaint in regards to the diversity here is that it would seem that all of these kids are from wealthier families, since they're traveling from out of state each summer to Camp Outland in Maryland. I love the concept of Camp Outland, of it being a safe refuge for queer teens. Here is where Randy meets with his best friends, where he is no longer isolated like in school. Here, Hudson and Connie do not have to conceal their identities in order to protect themselves. This novel builds an idealistic summer getaway while simultaneously confronting the reality of homophobia and transphobia and bigotry. Being out and proud is a wonderful thing, but queer people have to consider their safety when coming out. This story is not one that dismantles and erases bigotry completely in the end. Hudson faces a very real threat of his parents disowning him, throwing him out on the street, or abusing him. LGBTQ kids are at risk of homelessness and worse. Connie knows this, knows how cruel the world can be. For Connie, it was her coach rather than her parents that threatened to ruin her life when she came out. As a black trans woman, Connie belongs to an especially vulnerable demographic. Black trans women are murdered every year in hate crimes. It is so important that Camp Outland offers LGBTQIA+ history activities. At least, in my experience, growing up in an extremely religious and conservative state, my schools did not often teach queer history. It wasn't until my senior year of college that I had a class discuss the AIDS epidemic and crisis. So, when I was accepted into my university's honors program, I recommended the school to create a new course that teaches LGBTQ+ representation in literature and history. This class will hopefully be implemented within the next few semesters. Queer history is extremely important to me, and I love this book so much for simply having camp director Joan teaching the younger generations about it. The Mattachine Society and Daughters of Bilitis truly existed and fought for our rights. Not everyone is aware that it used to be illegal for queer people to drink in bars. So, queer people took inspiration from the ongoing civil rights movement and enacted sit-ins to peacefully protest their rights, our rights. This, along with the revolutionary Stonewall riots, paved the way for the rights and pride we have today. But gay marriage has only been legal in the United States since 2014. There are still many people who believe being gay is a sin and that it is impossible for people to be transgender. There is still no standard rights to protect trans people in sports or simply in public restrooms. There are still so many problems that we queer people must face. This is why Pride matters. Pride is a celebration, but it started as and continues to be an act of protest. I think it's great that Camp Outland's nurse, Cosmo, participated in the Stonewall riots. It is a reminder of how recent it all was, showing how this is far from ancient history. The other thing I appreciate about Nurse Cosmo is how he encourages safe sex at camp. Now, technically, the campers are not allowed to have sex here, but horny teenagers usually find a way. Understanding this, Cosmo leaves out condoms, dental dams, and lube for the teens. As someone who lived through the AIDS epidemic, Cosmo is aware of the importance of safe sex. Now, on the topic of sex, there is indeed a sex scene in this novel. A long one. One that is 6 pages long. As an adult, it is uncomfortable to read, but I understand I am not exactly the intended audience for this novel. Still, I think this scene may be informative for inexperienced queer readers. So, use protection and be careful. Anyway, on to a more wholesome point. I think it is incredibly sweet that Hudson's grandma is the first person he came out to. She supported him, and it is thanks to her dying wish that Hudson is able to be a part of Camp Outland. Hudson was fortunate to have had such an accepting grandmother in his family. A lot of queer people do not have any supportive family members, so feelings of isolation are not uncommon. while Counselor Mark's drag persona's name, Diane Alone, a play on dying alone, is funny, it is also kind of sad. But to look on the brighter side here, I do love how there is drag representation in this book. Especially now, with the ongoing debate concerning the appropriateness of drag around children. Yet, as we have already learned from Robin Williams' Mrs. Doubtfire, drag can be made family-friendly. Camp is an important and fun novel that I would highly recommend to others. I love just about everything about this story, and I can't get enough of it.